Hello and welcome to Cutter Farms. We're back with another episode of Edgewater, Saskatchewan, and today we're going to be jumping into our harvest. Now, I've left this AGI Westfield auger set up here on the bigger bin. We're going to be using that for canola later on, and you'll notice I've got the unload auger here set up on the bin. A bunch of people in the comments have told me that these work both ways. I've never tried it, so we're going to try it out today. I got everything in position. I was just making sure the truck could roll on over this without hitting the other auger. Spacing looks great, but I don't have any crops to test with, so we better get to harvesting. Now, today we've got a special treat. I am recording on a preview version of an upcoming update to the map, and I've got an update to the swather head. I don't know if we'll get to swathing canola today. However, BC Bueller reached out to see if I'd want to test the update before it gets rolled out on ModHub. In fact, it may even get rolled out before I post this video. I don't know what the timing's going to be. We'll see. However, he mentioned one of the things that was updated in the map is that lentils are going to have a boosted yield. So I thought, well, what better time to test this out than right before we jump into our lentil harvest. I could definitely get behind some additional yield on my fields. So we will be going at it today and seeing what kind of yields we get. Hopefully we'll make a pretty penny off of all of our harvests this year. We've got the bin space to store all 4 of our crops on the farm, and we are off to the races. Now, obviously, lentils are not the most voluminous crop in the world. It's we're at 10 bushels already just on this little bit, but we will not be filling our bin for sure with this harvest. I don't recall from last time that we did a lentil harvest exactly how many bushels we got off of that. In fact, I don't think it was even the same field, so it'd be hard for us to compare apples to apples and know if we're actually seeing the desired yield increase or not, but hopefully we are. And I'm noticing we're having some small slowdowns on some of these curves with the combine. I think the header was getting hung up on the ground over there for some reason. I'm also realizing we forgot to refuel the combine. Oh my goodness, we are way at the bottom of the fuel tank here. I'm going to hope that I can finish the headland pass here and we can get back up by the driveway there before we run out of fuel, and I'll go grab the pickup truck and top the combine off here. Yeah, we're dropping down to 4 miles an hour right now. That's pretty rough. 3 miles an hour. Hopefully it's not a sign of the fuel tank being open that our speed's going to start dropping. Fuel tank being empty, I should say. But now it's coming back up to 6. I don't know. I think we're just hitting a rough spot on the edges of the field there where the header's getting hung up and we just don't have quite the power to push through. That's my best guess. We're at a whopping 36.8 bushels right now, so we're definitely not going to be overfilling the bins. All right, so we're knocking off these headlands here. I figure we might as well go in cab just a little bit here, and maybe we'll see if we can get our GPS all set up here while we're running down the fence line. We're going to have a handful of rounds in this field. It's not going to go as fast as the seeding or the tillage did. However, this should go pretty good here, I expect. Don't think we're going to need to unload the combine too many times on this field. We'll probably end up taking 2 headland passes off. I think should be sufficient with the combine header that we've got, and we'll be able to just knock out the up and down rows on this long part of the field. We don't have a lot of curvy spots on this field either, so it'll be a pretty quick combine, I think. And let's see if we can make the curve without putting it into a tree or missing any bits on the corner. We'll officially be better than course play here. Very nice. We got this. It's just a little deceptive to try and see where the cone is. Like, realistically, I'd probably lean forward a smidge or something. I don't know. I feel like when I was combining, I could see the snout, where the snout ended on the header pretty easily. but that's not as easy to do here in Farm Sim. So we're getting up to the end row here. We are going to take a second pass around, but before I do, we're going to line up here, but I'm going to stop us before we go too far, and we're going to shut everything down. And I'm going to go get that pickup and see if we've got some fuel left. All right, let's fire it up. Oh yeah, I've got 263 gallons of diesel. Let's do this. Now, if I remember correctly, I've got to put the combine on the left-hand side of this tank to get the fuel trigger. So I'm going to go ahead and swing wide here and back ourselves in right next to the combine. Something like this. Realistically, I think the ladder comes down on this side and I'd climb up there to fuel it. But for whatever reason, if I remember correctly, it fuels better if I park on the back left-hand corner on the combine here. Good deal. We're all topped off. And let's get this pickup back up in the yard and out of the way so I'm not trying to drive around it when we're coming in here with the grain cart and such. I'm going to just put it right over here. No sense squeezing into this tight garage door if we are probably going to need to use the truck for something else at some point here today. And we're nowhere near full enough to need to empty out right now, so I'm going to go ahead and just fire us back up. We'll top off, or we'll finish off the headland pass here, and then we'll see about dumping out some of these lentils into the grain cart. That'll give me an opportunity to run them up, dump them into that semi-trailer, and see if that whole auger setup is working or not. And I'm giving this a shot. We're going to try and make it around the curvy bits here while we're all in cab, and then I'll probably switch back out for some external fun. This corner bit here is a little bit steep to try and take on without backing up. Good deal, good deal. Yeah, we got this. It's going excellent. All right, well, that's enough fun for a moment. Let's jump out of cab here, make sure we're getting all of the little bits and pieces here as we take the headland off. You know, honestly, I think we could probably get the bulk of this field into one hopper here on the combine. I don't think, if I were to keep the grain cart out here on the field, I don't think we'd even fill up the grain cart in the combine. I don't think I'd need to bring the semi out to the field at all to unload. I think we could get it all into those two containers, but luckily we're right up next to the yard here, so it isn't that big of a deal. We'll get our lentils right into the bin, make sure everything's working for us here today. So while I can't be positive without maybe going back and referencing previous videos, it does just feel in my gut like the lentils are yielding a little bit better. I should have asked BC Bueller by how much the yield was increased. He just mentioned that there was a yield increase. And so now I'm really curious to know what the tweaks were. One of these days I'll have the presence of mind to ask these kinds of questions in the moment. Either way, it looks like I'm back onto the straight rows. I can always hit this GPS button and get going on the same straight row we were on before. Now we've got a little bit of a mess down here where I turned in because I completely forgot that we had GPS. So that'll be next round's problem. We do still have to finish taking the headlands off on the far end that we're heading towards. But that'll take just a moment. It looks like we're going to probably end up somewhere around 50% when I get back up to the other corner here, which is not too bad for headland passes on a small field like this. Now, I think what I might do, just because the bulk of this field is going to be this back and forth bit, which will be pretty easy to take care of, is maybe as long as we're here and we're not full yet, I'll just take off of the weird bits up here in the curve of the field before I run over and grab that grain cart, just because we're here, we're not full yet, and it's something that I'm going to have to do manually anyway. And so I can do the manual bits here now while we're still driving, and then I'll just go set this guy off on a worker on the far end of the field there, and let him go back and forth while I go grab the grain cart. That'll be the most efficient use of our time. See if we can knock out all the acres on this field and get moved over and start in on our peas this episode as well. I'd love to knock out a big chunk of our harvest. There we go, right back into the row we were on. We're harvesting this at kind of an odd angle, to be honest. I don't know what I'm doing. We're just making it up as we go. That's part of the fun. The nice thing about running in crops with a cutter head like this is it doesn't really matter which direction I go. It's not like we have rows that we've really got to stick to or anything here. This should be the last cut that I've got to do here, and I'll go set us off on a worker. We're a little bit over 50% here. Not too bad, not too bad at all. We've got 181, 82 bushels in the hopper by the time I get this down here and then go fire up the cart and catch up with the combine and everything. We'll probably be at 200 bushels. All right, here we are. I'm going to actually disable GPS, hit the worker, off you go. And I'm remembering we've got the grain cart right up next to the field. It's not like I have to go track it down and get it hooked up and all this other stuff, but this field, the rows aren't very long in this field that we're harvesting at the moment anyway. So if I want to catch up with the combine and unload on the way back down, we really don't have that much time to jump in here. I've got one faster gear. Maybe we'll go all out here and make sure I get down there at around the same time as the combine. I want to make sure we're getting the whole length of the field to unload here, because while we only have a couple hundred bushels, this combine is not the fastest unloader, that's for sure. And there's those couple of rows that I messed up on when we were starting off here. Maybe I should grab those real quick. Let's take over for just a second from the worker. I'm not sure I want to live with this row of shame out here. It's actually like a couple of drilled rows here. There's a whole half a bushel. Not even. And letting GPS straighten out just a smidge. We're off by a half degree there. There it is. Jumping out. We're way behind. He's going to be halfway down the field now by the time I actually catch up. This was not how this was supposed to go. My bad. This is what I always do, is make life harder on myself when I'm trying to make life easier on myself. That's all right. We'll get there. We're not in that big of a hurry, to be honest. The good news is we might have a little bit more than the 200 bushels I estimated. I didn't even remember to look at the bushels when we were actually in the combine. 220, almost 225 here by the time we hit the end row. There we go. 225 bushels. Very nice. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and sneak between these trees here, and we'll take this over. We're going to test out this semi setup. Make sure we can actually unload into the bin and we don't need to move everything around. That would be nice if it was all set up here and ready to go. If we do have to move everything around, that really means we're going to have to move everything around. Oh no. I didn't calculate for the drive over being in my way. So I'm going to just squeeze a smidge closer without wrecking it. We've got quite the throw on this, though, so that's not a problem. And I'll let that stack up while we hop in here and start overloading lentils into the drive-over. All right, the drive-over's running. And the Meridian is running. Look at that. So let's see here. The Meridian bin has 5,000 liters of lentils in there now. Awesome. Oh, and we still have lentils in here that didn't get unloaded. How did that happen? I bet you the trailer slid forward. Well, let's unload them. Exciting. Ooh, I'm so glad that didn't bounce that whole thing out of the way by bumping into the drive over auger there. It's planted pretty solidly when it's in unloading mode. And I'm a little bit worried about driving around here with the auger arm out. We don't have a lot of room coming through the yard here, but we've got enough to get by. And as you can see, the combine has not really made that much progress. So let's just go ahead and put this guy out of the way here while we wait for the combine to make a few rounds. All right, we have made a few rounds here. We're almost done with this field. We've got to clean up this little corner, and I think I've got a little corner there dead ahead of me that needs to get cleaned up as well. But we'll finish this bit up before I drive back to the other side of the field. We haven't needed to unload or anything, obviously. We're trucking right along here. And yeah, this field went really quickly. I'm honestly surprised at just how fast we're knocking out harvest this season. I feel like last season, I don't know why, but harvest felt like it was rather lengthy. And I think maybe part of it was we were learning about new crops. I wasn't sure what to expect. We were learning about new fields. And now we've farmed most of the fields that we're in a couple of times now. So we're doing good. We're doing good. And it's making everything a lot quicker. I was honestly a little bit nervous about taking on too much land when we were coming into this season. I know I talked about picking up another big field, and then we ended up picking up some equipment first. Now that we've got some nice equipment, especially on the planting side of things, or I should say the seeding side of things maybe, we're feeling pretty confident I could take on some bigger fields, I think. We might end up upgrading this combine, though, at some point as well, because this thing is a little touchy, a little slow still, and I would love to get us into some more bigger modern machinery and really speed things up, especially when we're doing normal cutting like in the field here, instead of running the swather. I think the swather works great, and I could swath everything ahead of time. I know a lot of times I jump right out there and start running the combine and picking it up in the field at the same time the swather's running, but if I got another piece of equipment, we could start breaking up some of these jobs, I think, a little bit more and getting them running in parallel. Maybe even keep this combine and run it with the pickup head while we switch out and get something bigger for cutting crops. We don't have a lot of overlap in the timing, though, for cutting versus swathing. They're kind of done in different times of the year, so I'd have to really think through the value of having multiple pieces of equipment on the farm here. We may just upgrade and be done with it. However, I think we're going to jump into a course play job here now for the second bit. Let me just see real quick. Create job, course play. Field position's going to be right there. 2 headlands should be plenty. We'll let it figure everything else out real quick. And it wants to go that way? Okay, we'll let it go that way. I would have gone up and down, but I'm not the boss today. We're going to let course play do its own thing. I am going to just open this field up a little bit for ourselves, though, just so I don't have a lot of trouble getting in and out of here, and this will also give me some room to get in and out with the grain cart and everything else, so we'll just take care of this. We are getting a fair amount of peas. The peas are much more voluminous, I feel like, than the lentils. And I'm just going to back all the way up here and take the bits off in front of the driveway and curve right back on up like we just did. And give me this whole corner cut out. I think this will be plenty to get us going. And now we've got everything set up on a first waypoint. So if I back up, point us at the right direction, and away he goes. Good deal, good deal. I have complete confidence in your abilities, sir. Let's go get that grain cart. We ended up with another 114 bushels of lentils here. Not too shabby. I'm actually not sure what unit of measure they'd be using up in Canada to track these crops. But we're using bushels right now. That's what I've got in mind. That's what I'm familiar with. But I know I've got a fair amount of Canadian viewers in the audience. How would you refer to lentils and peas when you're talking about volume here? Are you guys using bushels up there? Or is that something that is strictly American-based, and you guys have your fancy metric system up there and are referring to them in a different way? I suspect you're using the metric system for other things, so I would expect that that applies to your units of measure for the crops and the trailers as well. We're all emptied out into the semi. I do need to empty the semi still, but I'm seeing that our combine got stuck out here, so let me park this guy and go figure out what we got stuck on. Looks like I got stuck turning into the fence. Oh my goodness, we are good and stuck. Well, let's try and help a guy out here a little bit. You know, it's not the first time I've actually did the same thing one year. The first time out in the combine working for one of the newer guys that I had worked for, one of the last guys I worked for when I was working for farms, I should say. And he let me jump into the combine. He'd run up to the farm to grab some dinner. And not 15 minutes later, I put the snout right into a fence, ripped it right backwards. It was, we spent an hour or two wrenching on stuff to get everything back into a harvestable state. Was quite embarrassed. But it looks like we're good to go now. We're already at 24% though, capacity with the peas, which to me says we might not make it all the way around the field here with peas. So I'll let him go. We've got to go back to the bins here and get everything switched over for peas, which means we got to get these lentils out of the semi first. And that's what we're going to do here. There we are. I'm going to back this thing right on over. Oh, I forgot I can't back this trailer up. We're going to pull this thing right through and get her out of the way. We're going to be pulling it right back on over that in just a minute, but for the moment, it's in the way. And I believe that's it for lentils. We need to move this thing over to the next bin. So we'll just zoom over here. It's such a speedy little auger. Said no one ever. I'm going to move to the side a bit just so I'm not hitting the unload auger with the tire. Don't want to cause any more problems than we already have getting things lined up and close enough. Something like that ought to work. We do have to climb up on top and open up the cap. Alright, cap's closed on this one. I've got a whopping 12,000 liters of lentils. We've got 62,000 liters of, was that wheat? Yep, and we got a great demand at the farmer's market. How nice. All right, I think that's going to be good enough. Let's go ahead and jump in the semi here and see if I can get this over without running into the Westfield auger here. We've got a little bit of a mess in the yard here. It's okay. We'll figure it all out, though. And just like that, should be good to go. I should be able to pull that around when the time comes. I dig it. Let's get in the grain cart now and see if I can catch up with the combine, who's got to be getting close to full soon. All right, well, it looks like the combine has officially gotten full. It's got a giant heaping of peas up there on top, and he's doing the magic cut-in maneuver so that I can pull up alongside him, which is honestly just fine because it's not like I could have unloaded on the go with the creek here next to us. That would have been pretty crazy. So I'm going to just spin in here and See if we can manage to not run anything over on our way over. That would be the best case scenario for us. Perfect. I really need to run a plow over here and clean up some of the jagged edges on the edge of this field. That'll help a lot in the future with the courseplay course missing little bits. I think it's just how this field is set up right now. I just needed to bring some tillage in and clean it up, or better yet, like areas like right here, I probably just need to bring the landscaping tool in and clean up the edge, to be honest. So we got to remember to do some field cleanup here in the fall after we get all of our crops off. We'll go through and touch up all the fields with just a little bit of love, and I think that'll solve some of the issues we've had, especially on any fields that we plan on swathing. I think I was going to get rid of the loose grass on the very close edge. It'll look a little bit goofier, but not as goofy as, say, just putting some extra dirt over there or something. Like little grass bits like this, if the swather catches them, can sometimes turn into grass on the field, but that's all right. We'll see how it goes. Now, BC Bueller didn't mention that there's a swather update as well, which I installed, but I haven't played with, so I'll be curious to see what the swather update does. I should ask him about that. We won't get to that this episode, though, so I'll ask him what's up with the swather update before we record the next episode, and hopefully have some more information for you on what's going on with those. I'm going to follow this guy out to the corner of the field here. We're almost to the edge, and I'll go ahead and dump this into the semi because I'm honestly really curious to see what this is going to do, make sure everything's still working. I don't know why the augers wouldn't work after I moved them around, so it's just me wanting to get some crops into the bins. I love seeing the crops go into the bins. I think the easiest thing for us to do is going to actually be to spin all the way around from this side and dump as we come back along the side of the semi. All right, we got all of that going in. Let's make sure this is all set up. That's mostly lined up. Should work fine. Jump in here and fire up the semi. Start overloading peas. Here we go. Peas going into that auger. Augers going into that auger. They're almost lined up. I think I bumped that at some point because the whole thing is slightly crooked there. I don't know what's going on. We'll fix it after we're done unloading the peas. It looks like I've shifted forward as well. Everything's sliding on me. All right, peas are all emptied, bins all full, or not full, but good to go. Let me hop in here and actually try to fix it semi-legitimately. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. I'm not too stressed about it. It was actually working anyway, so we hopefully didn't make it any worse. And I'm gonna, whoops, bump into that auger. I'm so glad that auger is more durable than it looks. And we're going to get rushing out here and catch up with that combine and see if we can get him unloaded again. It looks like we're going to catch up with him before he gets emptied out here, which is great. And let's see, I do have the vehicle speed sync mod installed. Oh, I've got a different one, though. Shift 4 is bringing up a crazy menu. I don't know what menu that is. I wonder what mod that is. I thought Shift 4 usually got me going the same speed as this guy, even if he changed speeds, so I've obviously got some other mod installed. Fascinating. If anybody knows what mod that is, let me know. It looks like it's got a whole bunch of settings on it around helpers, maybe? AI driven, mode 8, field supply, mode 9, shovel, fill, empty. Yeah, I don't know what mod this is. Always something new. I mean, I don't have that many mods installed. I'm not like a lot of people. I don't have a mod folder that's like every mod I've ever used. I specifically install mods for a given save that are things that I think I'm going to use. All right, I think he's empty. We're going to go ahead and get out of the way because I'm just causing problems by being so close to him and continuing to bump into the header here. I'll get these unloaded here back at the semi just because we can, and we'll be ready to go. This should be the end of the headland passes, so he'll be going on the up-down rows next, which will be a lot easier to unload on the go, I feel like. And I'm going to, instead of what I did last time, which was try to go all the way around, I'm going to try and circle around this way. We just missed the shed. I was wondering if I was going to have to edit that out because we were so close. And nope, we just missed it. It's all good. Hey, we're almost dumping into the hole completely. Congratulations. Oh man, my apologies. My head cold is not doing well today. Alright, so the combine's got quite a ways to go here, so we're going to go ahead and just shut down the old field boss for a little bit, and let me run up here, jump on in. Yeah, we're at 26%. This is going to take a minute. Well, let's follow along and see how we do, and we'll check back in a little while. All right, we are pulling into our final pass here on our peas. We've got to make it all the way back down to the far end of the field there. There's a little bit left to pick up there by the driveway, but I'm sure we'll take care of it. It took a little bit longer to do these shorter rows back and forth like this with letting Courseplay do its thing, but that's all right. We got it done, and hopefully you enjoyed the montage. We've been playing around with a little bit different style in some of our videos here, trying to figure out a good way to tackle some of these larger fields. If I plan on upscaling the farm here, we're going to have to figure out how to do a lot of field work in a shorter period of time on some of the videos. So we're going to keep playing around with things until we find something that both I and you enjoy. So let me know what you think in today's video of our little montage segments here as we jump through some of the field work. And let's see, I've got the gravity wagon, the grain cart all filled up with peas here. And we're going to take it up here and get it unloaded. We're going to have a little bit more to unload from the combine as well. So maybe what we'll do is we'll get this unloading into the semi, and then I'll jump back over into the combine, and we'll see if we can dump that into here as well. And I've got to be real careful as we come around here. The brakes on this tractor aren't quite up to speed with how heavy the grain cart seems to be. So we got to take our time getting into the yard, and it looks like he's turning around to get this little tiny bit right there. That's kind of funny, actually. Boom, we're done. Well, let's go ahead here and disable the course play. I'm going to jump up here. There was just a little bit in around the edge of this field that I felt like I wanted to grab right here in this corner specifically, just because I was kind of curious to see how much it was. We're about at 47.7 bushels. If I don't even get another 0.1 bushel out of all that, nah, it's not going to be worth going around and cleaning up the little tiny missed bits that we've got. So let's just go ahead and get this up into the yard. It looks like the grain cart just finished unloading. I could move it out of the way and unload directly into the semi, but where's the fun in that? Let's just back this guy up and unload into the grain cart. There we go. Alright, I'm gonna put the pipe back in. I'm just gonna park this stuff right here for the time being. It'll be easier than trying to move around everything else that's in the yard. Boom, all wrapped up. The grain cart should be all wrapped up now, so I'm going to pull that forward and get it out of the way here as well. And let's get this semi backed up and unloading. My goodness, it is rolled all the way up here. That's just crazy to me. Well, either way, we'll get it unloaded. It looks like I did bump into the drive over auger here a little bit at some point, because it's a little cattywampus, but we're all right. Oh man, the auger is rotated here a bit as well. What is going on? Everything's just sliding around. Well, it looks like we got it all into the bin regardless, even with all the shenanigans. Let's hop on over here and look what we got. We got 58,000 liters apiece. That's really good. That's almost on par with all this wheat we got. We got 62,000 liters of wheat. So lentils still coming up on the short end, but that's all right. They're worth quite a bit as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just get this semi moved out of the way here, park it back over along the driveway here where I like to keep it. Although I guess we do have this versatile sitting over here right now. At some point, we're going to need a bigger farm with some much bigger sheds to store all this fancy equipment we've got. But for the time being, we're going to get through the rest of this season before we really think about any kind of upgrades for the farm. And I think this is going to be a great place to wrap up today's episode. We've knocked out both our pea and lentil harvest. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. If you have, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. That's all for today. Ketterk out. Oh my gosh, no. Really? That shouldn't work.